The very essence of the mental game is this. The only reason an event matters is because we make it matter.
Welcome to the Mullins Farrier Podcast, where I will sit down and converse with the superstars, the overachievers, the masters of our craft. Each episode will be a deep dive into their personal philosophies, their habits, the tools they use, and the secrets to not only their success, but overcoming failure as well.
First, find somebody you can mimic, then find somebody you can stand, and then try to focus on one style until you master that style.
So if you say I can't do something, well, you're absolutely right. But if you say you're going to, you're absolutely right with that too.
People say that you shouldn't define yourself by your work. That is not true.
You know what Dave Farley does when he's, lucky enough to be at the World Equestrian Games? I'm watching other people work.
Yeah.
I don't think we do that enough.
This podcast is for all of you out there who share my passion for the job and the desire to always improve. These interviews will put you in touch with the inner workings of the role models we all want to emulate. So let's get to it.
There's only so many hours in a day, and it's a matter of what you do with them.
Today I'm speaking with Cathy Lesperance. Cathy shoes many high-level sport horses in Ontario, Canada. Her clients have flown her far and wide to such places as Florida and Alberta to service their horses. She is 56 years old and lives with her partner Renee and their two very large dogs. Cathy has loved horses since she could remember. She owned, rode, and showed horses for years, from barrel racing to reining to eventing. She started her shoeing career in 1981 by apprenticing with Pat Cullen, who is now deceased. She later apprenticed with Larry Lesperance, who she then married 7 years later. Larry set out on another career of running a group home for troubled boys, and Cathy took over the shoeing business. It was a very scary time for her, but she still had Larry for his support and expertise. They later divorced when she was 36, as the group home life had taken a toll on their relationship. Cathy's mentor over the past several decades has been and still is Dave Farley. As I'm sure will become very apparent in the interview, Cathy is a genuinely kind, intelligent, and funny human being. She has a lot of experience that she graciously shares, and her brutal honesty is both comedic and endearing. Now let's get to it. So I'm sitting here with Cathy Lesperance. Thank you very much for doing this. I really appreciate it. You were a natural choice because I thought of going to the farrier school. Each year I've noticed that more and more women are showing up to do the courses. Now they have to change the bunkhouse around because they don't have enough room for the girls upstairs. So I felt that somebody who'd been in the industry as long as you have and who's been as successful as you've been would offer a pretty unique perspective from a woman's perspective in it. So we'll start with, how did you get your start in the business?
That wasn't really easy. Because I didn't know where to go. I was 18 years old, and I had only encountered Mennonite blacksmiths. So my first call was to an equine magazine. And fortunately, the editor of that magazine knew of a farrier that would take on apprentices. So as he was questioning me, I asked, what is it you're looking for? And I told him, and he went, oh. And so he personally knew Pat Cullen, who I signed up with, and he helped me find this farrier who would take on an apprentice. I actually had approached a couple of the local farriers, and their wives said no.
I've actually heard that.
Yeah. In 1981, it was not common. Veterinarians did not have female assistants, and farriers did not have female apprentices. It was unheard of.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I've actually heard of people even just a few years ago who said the same thing, that their wives probably wouldn't let them.
Oh, I can imagine that would still happen today. Absolutely. Yeah.
We would hope a lot less than it did back in the 80s. So at the time you were starting out, this kind of answers that question. Were you one of the only women in the area then?
Yes.
Okay. And then did you meet much resistance because of that? Like, it's not just with the farriers and their wives, like even with clientele?
Pat Cullen actually didn't want to take me on. It was his wife that talked him into it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
She felt that if their daughter, they had a young daughter, if their daughter wanted to become a farrier, that she deserved the chance. So she talked him into taking me on. And he did.
Oh, incredible.
Because I did interview with him, and he wasn't all that enthusiastic.
Okay. And so how long did you work with him for?
I stayed with Pat for 9 months.
Who was your next?
Oh, well, after that, I went out on my own. I bought the truck, I had the oxygen acetylene, the anvil, everything, the business cards, and I started to shoe on my own. And I have to be deadly honest here. It was terrible. It was awful. I screwed up. I lamed up horses. I got hurt.
Oh, wow. Just not enough experience with...
No, I didn't. I knew how to make one shape of shoe. That's all I was ever taught. One shape.
Right. Wow. Yeah. So then what was your next step as far as education?
Well, then I quit.
Oh, really?
I was actually going to go to college. I was going to quit shoeing, and I was going to go to college. I applied. I had met a farrier at a dance. No, it was a wedding. I did know of him, and we started dating. And one day he was really tired, and he said, I just can't. I do not want to go shoe these horses. And I said, why don't I can help. And I literally started right from scratch, clinching, pulling shoes. And I started with Larry Lesperance, who 6 years we worked together, and I later married him. And so for 6 years I got to apprentice with him. I learned a lot more.
Wow. That would be good for everybody, including the horses, I guess.
Yeah.
So then where did your career kind of go from there? You ended up working on a lot of sport horses. Mm-hmm. I knew you by your reputation before I met you. Mm-hmm. And just how did you end up getting to that kind of level?
That's really interesting because I did start out, we did barrel racers and we did paint horses, reiners, and one day started to shoe some hunters in a barn. I was doing some of the Western horses, and this lady asked me if I would start doing her hunter horses. And then what I really liked about them is they didn't pull their shoes in the wintertime. A lot of Western people do.
Right.
And I thought, this is the way to go. These people don't pull their shoes. They can't. They're thoroughbreds usually, and they can't handle being without shoes. This might be the way to go. And honestly, Brian, I can't say that I actually started to advertise that I was going to do more hunters and jumpers. I just thought it a lot.
Right.
And then my whole business slowly started to shift. And I think part of it too was at the time too, I started to get into eventing. So I started to get to know more people in eventing. And then slowly somebody might ask you to come and shoe their horses. So I started to shoe a lot of eventers also. And my business just kind of started to morph that way.
Okay.
And I can't say that I actually made a concerted effort to make it happen. I just thought it.
And then your focus was there and it just kind of happened. Mm-hmm. Interesting. What kind of levels did you compete at? I wasn't aware of this.
In eventing?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. My courage took me to prelim level.
Okay, wow.
And that was the end of my courage.
Okay.
That's it.
And then you started spending more time under them than on them.
Yeah, it was a lot. If I wasn't on a horse, I was under a horse. I literally, that's what I spent all weekend doing was conditioning, showing, taking lessons, or going to a show. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Riding or shoeing. Yeah.
Okay. As I said before, your reputation just kept building. Mm-hmm. Do you think that's just word of mouth, or how did that happen? What is it that you think you did differently than some of the others that you were in competition with for business?
Surround yourself by good people.
Right.
When you see good shoeing, look at it and say, that's how I want to be. I would spend a day with a farrier if I could take that day. You know, I learned some great things from Scotty Dixon, and Dave Farley's always been my mentor, and I would read every article I could. If you learn to recognize really good shoeing and then even try to imitate it.
Right.
And so there might be a new horse that came into a barn. I distinctly remember this, and pulling the shoes, and it was a bananaed shoe, you know,
okay. Yeah.
It was slightly rockered in different ways. And I thought, oh, that's how you do that. and I think it was Leo Chapman that had done that horse. And so I learned from him that day, without him knowing it, how to do a banana shoe. And I remember when square toe was big, when that came along, squaring the toes of the hind shoe. I learned that one from Greg Farrell. And I learned how to do it right. I pulled off a shoe and I went, oh, this is how it's supposed to look. Oh, okay. This is how it's supposed to be done. And then mimicked him. So I have mimicked a lot of shoers. There's a lot of shoers in Ontario I really admire. And other than that, then going to clinics too. But mimicking good shoeing, try to do that.
That's good advice. In an industry with such fickle clientele, especially the disciplines that you specialize in, I'm sure you've had some clients on your roster for at least a decade, if not a couple. Some you've told me about. What do you think are some of the key components in your ability to retain them?
Service.
Yeah.
I think your service will outrank how good you are as a farrier. I want to be both.
Yep.
But that's the key. You have to be really good at service.
Okay. And in what ways?
Return your phone calls, not in days, not in weeks, no, I think you've got a 24-hour gap. I try to return a call at least, at the very most, 12 hours. That's it. Return your calls. If even call a client and say, hey, I haven't forgotten about you, but I know you called and I will get you scheduled in for next week. Even if you talk to them, show up, get lost shoes back on as soon as possible. Be kind to the grooms. Clean up after yourself. Compliment people's horses. As a horse person myself and as a woman, we love to hear wonderful things about our horses, our dogs, our kids, anything.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I have noticed that in the past. I had heard a story about you being on a motorcycle trip, and actually you came to a point where you could carry on. Apparently it was going very well. You could have carried on, but you got a call to fix a shoe. And you were quite
many times.
Yeah. Okay. I only heard of the one story. And you had actually turned around and you went back to do that. How did you find that balance for the work to life balance? Because I'm sure there are times you must have carried on a motorcycle trip, or did you? Like, was it always that was just the choice you made?
At that time, keep in mind, I have a husband who is totally supportive. So if we were heading out in the motorcycles, and that's actually how it happened. We were heading out on a trip, and then I got the call because of course I've got to get my tools, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, honey, could we maybe go to Cheltenham instead? Do you mind? And he'd be, no problem. He loves, as long as we have a destination in mind, He loves going out the motorcycles wherever. So
incredible.
If they have the shoe, and I do have little tricks that I can level a shoe without an anvil if it's not too bent.
Yeah.
If they have the shoe and they can guarantee me it's not too twisted, then I can throw my tools in my saddlebags and go.
Right.
And we've done that many, many times.
Well, that helps to have a supportive partner then.
Very much. Yeah.
I'm sure there are a lot of people where they wouldn't understand that aspect of the job. It is almost a lifestyle.
It is, Brian.
It's a sacrifice you have to make almost. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I will go out on weekends and I will put shoes back on.
Right.
Yeah.
I do the same thing. That's why we often pass each other on the road.
Yeah.
So, and are there any ways or any advice that you could give on protecting your boundaries with clients? Because you do run into those that will kind of demand things at 5 o'clock on Friday or something, and some of them make a habit of it. Do you have techniques for saying no, or?
Honestly, sometimes I will lie. Oh my goodness, I wish I could get there right now, but I'll lie. I will make up a really good story that say, my mother's not well, or the U-joint just went in my truck, whatever. But I can lie and say, but I'm going to get to you as soon as I can, and be sincere.
Yes.
And maybe go the next day, but
Whatever works. I mean, that's why we're asking. It's an option.
absolutely. Because sometimes the truth is like, are you kidding me? I don't want to go there now. Oh, I just want to go home. That doesn't work. No, you've got to give them a good reason why you can't get there within the next few hours.
Right? Yeah. So I also know of your reputation of keeping long hours and working on weekends. It was something I emulated once I started, and you were one of the inspirations for that because I saw where it got you. But what's your secret or some of the habits that you've taken on to maintain your physical strength, your mental strength?
Mentally, this whole career of mine is like my child. I don't have children. This is something I've built, and it is important to me. People say that you shouldn't define yourself by your work. That is not true. You work more hours working than you do at other things. So why not be good at it and make it exciting and goal oriented and go for it? So this is what I do. And what I do on the weekends is a little bit, but 5 days a week, 6 days a week, I shoe horses. Physically, for a lot of years, I worked out, I did aerobics, I ran, I did P90X. Anybody, do you know what that is?
Yep, I do.
I still have the P90X DVDs. I've always thought that if I kept myself really fitter than I had to be, because you guys are naturally stronger than women. There's no doubt about that.
Okay.
So I've got to work a little bit harder at clinching, at closing my nippers and stuff like that. It's a little bit harder for me. So I always thought if I stayed really, really fit, then it would make my job easier. So did that work? I have no idea.
Well, you're still
I'm 56 years old and I'm still shoeing.
plugging away, yeah. So I guess it did. Did you ever experience burnout?
Yes.
Yeah.
I have a couple times. One time really badly.
And what did you do?
At that
Bounce back.
time, I had to cut back on clients. But at that time, I was taking care of my grandparents. I was taking them grocery shopping. Larry and I had that group home. So getting groceries was huge when you're buying groceries for 12 people. And taking care of my grandparents, mowing their lawn. And I would sit in my truck and cry in my driveway before I went to work. So I had to cut back. I had to cut back to 4 days a week.
Okay.
And that helped a lot.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then I know now you're not working 4 days a week, or are you?
No. I
Yeah.
work 5, sometimes 6 days a week, yeah.
Right. It picks back up. Mm-hmm. For as long as I've known you, you've always hired or had a crew of loyal helpers. Mm-hmm. Tristan being one that I've known for a long time. The word around town is that you offer some of the highest compensation to people who are helping you out as well. Would you mind sharing your philosophy behind that?
I think that if you want someone to be loyal to you, then you make it worth their while. And you appreciate them, and they need money too, so you pay them really well. Almost always been blessed with having really good people with me. Tristan is one of my best friends ever. He probably knows me better than anybody.
Oh, really?
You know, he has seen me melt down. He has seen me be completely idiotic. He keeps me humble. He makes me laugh. And I wanted to make it worth his while for him to leave me 1 day a week to come and work with me, because we bounce things off of each other. We learn from each other. And he has a standardbred shoeing background. And so he brought a lot of really key knowledge and experience to this business. And Tristan just makes me laugh. And I love my days with Tristan. So I had to make it worth his while, because he didn't have to give me a day a week, right? He's got his own business. So I told him I would pay him well enough. Like, what do you need? What's a good day for you? So that's what I agreed on.
Well, that's great. There is something about that sort of group mind when you're working with other people. It doesn't matter who it is. I've picked up stuff from people who are fresh out of school or who've been in it for years. It's amazing how you can learn a little bit or a lot off of everybody.
Everybody brings some kind of value, and it isn't always about shoeing. One of the things with Tristan and I, we can vent. We can vent about life. We can vent about shoeing, and we can laugh and we can cry and we can oh my God, why do we do this? We can do all of that, and I think it's really cathartic. And then Arden comes along, and she's 21, and she's phone savvy. So she's taught me things about my phone that I had no clue it could do. And she brings a whole lot of other added value, even not just about shoeing. She has a different way of doing things. She's really crafty. She's also really a naturally good horseshoer too. She's very good, but she brings a whole different element to everything. Yeah.
So you tend to be the person that I call when I have a falling out with a client or actually lose a client. There have been a couple times in the past where I've called you and just sought your words of wisdom on that. I just wondered if you could share with the audience just some of your takeaways from situations like that. But we had the conversation before this started about how it happens to everybody, but sometimes we get this perception that some of the people who are at the top never lose a client or never have their work questioned. So even with vets or with trainers questioning what you do you have certain ways of approaching that you find helpful?
So the answer to the first part of your question is when you do get let go or fired, you are going to take it personally. I have learned that don't take it personally is not fair advice because we already are. Because shoeing horses is about our talent and about what we can bring to their horses. So we do take it personally. And it's like a bad breakup. It's like it's getting dumped and you don't really know why and why weren't you good enough. And so I think you need to ride the waves of getting dumped by a client and all are going to get fired. We do get fired and it hurts, but you've got to move on. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I've found sometimes in situations like that where you actually, if you do lose somebody or they fire you, you take it so hard in the beginning, but then you appreciate more the clients that you do have who do appreciate what you're doing. I think that is one of the more positive things.
I have clients and they're just like backyard, maybe 2 trims, maybe even 1 shoeing here and there. And I keep them because they are so beautifully loyal to me and they have been for so many years. I will never let them down because I am so grateful for their loyalty. And keep in mind too, if you do lose a client, it does open the door for other possibilities.
That's right. You can only shoe so many horses in a day.
Yeah, so. Absolutely. And sorry, and I didn't remember the second part of that question.
If a trainer or a vet questions what you do, especially when you have more background knowledge than they do. Sometimes it's a fad that they're just trying to get on the bandwagon with. Have you found certain ways that you can approach that?
First, I go into my head and I imagine throat punching them.
You're the second guest on this podcast who's used the throat punch analogy.
Okay, then after I've got that image out of my head and I'm feeling somewhat gratified, I try to be civilized. Oh my, sometimes it is so tough, but you always have to smile and nod knowingly. Okay. And for the most part, if they're not asking me to do anything really detrimental to that horse, I have walked away in some cases and said, I cannot do that. But if the vet and or trainer isn't asking to do something that's going to hurt the horse, I'll go, okay, we will try that. And we'll try it. But again, if I feel it's going to hurt the horse, then I've got it.
Right. Yeah. There's a line you will
but
not
I do
cross.
smile. But keep in mind, I smile even though in my head I'm thinking those violent thoughts. I do smile at them and go, okay. So, and what do you think? And I might ask some other questions, and I might skirt around it, but always smile like you think they know what they're talking about. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Fake it, guys. Just fake it.
That's great advice. Have you ever had a bad experience or something along those lines, or where you thought you've messed up, or that in the end, like it seemed bad in the beginning and then in the end it turned out to be a good thing? Even like a bad like interaction with a vet or something like that. I've had that happen before where we've actually bonded.
Really?
Over it. Yeah, for sure.
That's wonderful. I'd love to hear that story. Yes, I do remember thinking that reverse shoes were retarded. I really did. And a vet wanted them. And so I agreed. I didn't think it was going to hurt him. I just thought it was kind of silly. And it really helped. The horse was great. Yeah. And so I kind of ate humble pie in my head because, of course, I never expressed that to the vet.
Yeah, well, you smiled it.
But I have learned that I'm really wary of clogs. I've never put them on, and and I'm wary of them. They just don't seem right to me. But boy, you listen to the stories of how well they work for some horses. They're brilliant. I think you have to keep an open mind because, my goodness, what works for one horse doesn't work for anybody else. And you can do some unusual stuff that works really well. Yeah, keep an open mind and play well with others sometimes. Sometimes it works out for the best.
Yeah, sometimes your intuitions aren't actually bang
And
on.
leave an open door of, okay, let's try this. But if it doesn't work, let's try this. So keep it positive and keep doors open. But to throw your tools down and walk away isn't really going to help.
No, and I find in situations like that, even if you kind of smooth it over later, that person's always going to be in the background kind of working against you.
Know who you're dealing with, too. This maybe is not a prominent equine vet, but this is who your client uses. Okay, I'm going to push a little bit more in that case. But if this is a really good veterinarian who I know of, I'm going to be really respectful and I'm going to listen.
Potentially learn.
And we're all like that.
For sure. But I find too, if the respect goes both ways, that relationship is much stronger. Now, I saw the pictures on Facebook of your shiny new rig that was built by Bayhorse. Was it Innovations of New York? I've had a couple built by them. They do a beautiful job. You've always had a nice truck and trailer from the first time I met you before I was even a farrier. I just wonder if you could share with the audience what your philosophy is on that as far as client perception.
Well, first of all, if you have a trailer, you don't have to lift that anvil out of your truck every day. That was the impetus for me. Yes.
Really?
I could not keep lifting that anvil in and out of my truck every day. So I had my first trailer, I think, when I was 26 because I kind of had to. But the client perception, that's really interesting. I actually got fired by a client.
For having a trailer?
Not the trailer, but he said, obviously I was making too bleep much money. And yeah, I'm serious. He fired me. Our relationship and I'd been showing for him for 20 years.
Oh, wow.
So there's one negative. For the positives, I would hope that people would see me as somebody who takes my job really, really seriously. And that's what I would hope for. Mostly the trailers are about pure convenience. I like being dry. I like being warm.
Yep.
And also, when I showed horses a lot, I could unhook this trailer, hook up my horse trailer, and go to a horse show. It was very convenient. And it is convenient.
Just back on the you're obviously making too much money comment. I've always found that interesting, especially when you think you have an infinite number of things you could spend whatever money you're making on. And when you choose to spend it on something that makes your job better or easier or more efficient, it surprises me that somebody would have that kind of a criticism because really you're showing your commitment to the job.
That's the way I would see it because personally, I would be highly suspicious if a plumber or electrician that I hired showed up in my driveway in a beaten up station wagon. Yeah, I would be horrified. I like to see professionalism and I like to see good, decent, good equipment. And I think that person is passionate about what they're doing and it's important to them. That is my own opinion. So
even, I said a shiny new rig. One thing I have found is we always end up on gravel roads. And so do you have a routine of keeping it clean or how does that work? Sometimes I rely a little too heavily on rainfall.
It is. There is the Blue Beacon truck wash. Have you ever been there in Milton?
No.
Okay, where you drive in and like 5-6 guys go to work on your truck and trailer. I will stop there whenever I can. Every 3 weeks I'm in Toronto and I'm there so early in the morning that I'm usually coming home around 12:30, 1 o'clock. And I usually stop in the Blue Beacon. If the lineup's not really huge, then I will go in.
Perfect. Now I know. Now, you've always been a familiar face at the conventions and clinics. That was right from when I first started. Could you share why you think it's important, the continuing education? And I'm sure it answers itself, but some people choose not to. And you, even though you've been in it for as long as you have, you still continue to go out. Could you share why you do that? Why you make that choice?
Absolutely. I love learning more. In this business, you learn new things all the time, and it's really, really interesting. New tools come out or new products, and you just keep on learning. To be honest with you, there was a big chunk of my professional life where I didn't go to any clinics.
Oh, okay.
And I probably started going to clinics when I think I was in my 30s. It was just so great. I think one of the best things I had was chatting with other farriers and how much you learn from just talking to other farriers alone. I remember the clinicians, I think Terry Osborne was one of the first ones, the OFA clinic, and I loved his clinic. So to keep learning and keep interacting with other farriers, to me, you just keep expanding and you just keep learning more and you keep trying more. And it's just fun to keep learning.
Yeah. Do you find after a convention or clinic that just the next day you kind of have a little bit more spring in your step or
absolutely
excitement with the job?
Yeah, I will. I'll laugh. Tristan, I'll usually look at him and say, so Tristan, yeah, I went to this clinic this weekend and lateral support's a big deal. You're going to see a lot of lateral supports happening like in the next future or heart bars, the last OFA.
Right, with Jonathan Nunn.
Yeah, with Jonathan Nunn was heart bars. I'm like, yep, Tristan, you're going to see some heart bars coming up. So you do that, and we do go through trends, and we do go through fads like that, and some will never ever go away. Like the heart bar will never go away. Yeah, you've got to keep learning. It's just so great.
Yeah, it's one of the things that makes this job so much different. You can get bored at a lot of different careers, but this one, there's never really that opportunity.
Right.
It's your own fault, really.
Yeah, you're right. It is never boring.
No,
absolutely.
With the attending clinics, then you started actually joining associations and then becoming board members on them. Like I know with the Ontario Farriers Association, you've been in several positions on the board there. Why did you think that was important to spend your time doing that? How did that benefit you or the benefit that you gave other people through that?
The benefit to me was, again, you get to hang out in a room with a bunch of good farriers who are like-minded, who want to reach out and give to other farriers. We want to provide maybe clinics, provide more education, provide whatever we can. And they're usually good people on the boards. So I got to hang out with farriers I really admired, and I got to help and give back to this industry. You hear that a lot. I want to give back to the industry, and I'm not actually really sure what that means, but I'm going to say it. You get to give back to the industry. I don't even really know what that means. I would like to pave the way for younger farriers so they can get to the knowledge faster than I was able to.
Yeah, you took a bit of a meandering path and then...
I did, because I learned a lot of things the hard way.
Yeah.
Yeah, nobody taught me how to shoe the thoroughbred eventer without making them sore. I learned that all by myself the hard way.
Right.
I did. And I would like to teach that to younger farriers before they go out and lame up some eventers.
Yeah,
and their name is Mud.
Right.
I would like to help everybody with that.
And that's admirable. I assumed that was one of the reasons. You always are very helpful, and yeah, it's not a surprise that you're on most of these boards. So then with the AAPF, and is it the CAPF with the Canadian version? Could you tell me how that got started? I'm assuming you're one of the founding members, are you not? Or
founding members implies that I helped found the association. I didn't. I'm called a founding member because I paid a lot of money.
A funding member.
to try to help this association, get started, because I really believed in it. Because there were some farriers on this board that I had huge respect for. Dave Farley, Jennifer Horn, Dave Dawson, Bob Pethick, Scott Lampert, huge respect for these guys. And I thought, they were starting something pretty interesting. And then, much to my surprise, Dave Farley asked me if I would consider being a director at one point.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. How do you say no to that?
Yeah. No kidding. You don't.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, you're too flattered and you're honored, and I'm sure I was their token Canadian, but I'll take what I can get.
Yeah, that's a good position to have. Eh? How did that progress? Like, once you were a part of it, what did that entail? You spoke before we started this about actually having to do a clinic.
Yeah. Well, it does entail, you do have to physically attend a couple of board meetings, and you do have to be able to fly there. So you need a passport. And you need to be willing to put in a few hours every week or so to help with whatever projects you have on the go, to brainstorm, to help out. And yet one of the requirements was that you are a clinician, much to my horror. I didn't
Which is
know
funny because
that
you are
part.
a great clinician.
I didn't know that part. Anyway, so yes, I have done a couple clinics, and they actually turned out to be a lot of fun once I finished throwing up. Yeah, they were good.
A lot of nerves beforehand.
There was huge. Yeah, huge. But once I got rolling, you pretend like you're just talking to a bunch of farriers. Not a room full of, there were a couple hundred farriers there. It was scary.
Yeah, well, the one that I witnessed or participated in actually with the glue-on shoes or the quarter crack.
Yeah.
That was exactly the feeling that you gave, was just that you were talking to a group of your peers.
That's right. Just like I was sitting here talking with you.
Yeah.
And that's what you keep in mind when you're doing that. And you just be real.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And the audience tends to reciprocate.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now, with your involvement with the association, where do you see that going? I know you have quite a few things kind of on the go with that, and you actually gave a talk on the Hunter Jumper certification. Mm-hmm. What does that involve? Our
Hunter Jumper credential is 3 different levels. Okay, so the first level, I apologize to the APF if I'm screwing this up. Okay,
I put you on the spot. I didn't include it in the questions.
Right. So there are 3 different levels. You can either just take the knowledge test, and let's say maybe you're a horse owner or that tech or something, and it's just the knowledge test. So you are supplied with the book and the exam questions, and you can then take the exam and you can get that level done. Level 2 is you are going to take the exam and you're going to be supplied with the templates for the shoe modifications. So you're going to take the exam, but at a later date, you're going to sign up for doing the shoe modifications. So that's what I've done. Okay, so just a good example. I've written the exam, and these are open book exams. These are designed to make you read and learn. So we're not trying to trick you. They're all multiple choice. But what we are trying to do is you have to go find the answer in that book. And you might have to read through a couple of pages, and and they're craftily done so that you do have to read. And what we're trying to encourage is learning. So that's the second level. So now that I've done that, I have the templates. I can start practicing shoe modification, because you want the shoe to fit this template. And the shoe modifications are going to be things like a trailer, screwing corks. I'm just going to give you some examples. A rim pad, a clip, a trailer, stuff like that. And so you're going to do these modifications at home. You're going to send the shoes away to we want people to actually look at them and say, yeah, you're doing a really great job. You might want to improve this. Or you can just throw caution to the wind and you can come to one of our testing sites. We have another testing site coming up. I believe the next one will be in California. And you're not going to be asked to shoe a horse, but you are going to pick out 2 modifications out of a hat. And then you have to go do those modifications. You have to prove that you can physically forge those modifications.
Okay, and would that be to a template as well? Like at the time, right?
Yes. No live horses, just templates.
Okay,
Yep.
Gotcha. And that's the 3rd level, or that's the 2nd level?
I think that's the 1st level.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But before you do the Hunter Jumper credentialing, you have to first do the foundation credentialing exam.
Right.
Yep.
Gotcha. Okay. What advice would you give to all the women that are starting out in farrier school or starting apprenticeships? What would you tell them, knowing what you know now, as they start their careers?
Wear a good bra.
It's all about support.
Oh, fun and games until your boobs fall out when you bend over. For women, I think don't get discouraged by how you hurt. Your hands are going to hurt. Things are going to hurt. You're going to get stronger. Your skin is going to get tougher. And don't fear the pain, because things are going to hurt a lot. And that even goes for the guys.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid of the pain, because you're going to hurt, but it's going to heal. And you're going to get better, and you're going to get stronger. The girls, we need to do a little more horsemanship to get through a tough horse, a physically tough horse. I mean that kind of horse that, that you've got them settled in your lap, you're doing a hind foot, and they just launch themselves out of your lap. Mm-hmm. Some guys, I have seen them. They can hang on. They grab that leg, and they can hang on.
Rodeo time.
I cannot. I can't. And I actually don't recommend that you guys hang on either.
Back to the pain and hurting.
Yes.
Yeah.
The girls, your horsemanship skills need to be good, and don't be afraid. This job is not for everyone. If you're passionate enough about it, then go for it. There's no reason why you can't forge, you can't shoe horses, you can't have that eye for balance. There is no reason.
No.
Being female, no.
I actually remember you saying something about for the pains and aches that you have later on that are just cumulatively there, where you said, I'm paraphrasing, but you said something about that pain, you earned it almost.
I did. Yeah. I've earned every one. And the reason I came up with that thought is I love you, my sister, and you'll probably never hear this, so I can say this. My sister has never cleaned a stall. She has never lifted, other than children, she has lifted really, really heavy things or shod horses or done a lot of really tough physical activity. However, she got frozen shoulder, which is a really nasty thing. If anybody's ever had that, you can barely get your arm up. And I thought to myself, but what did she do to get the frozen shoulder? She doesn't do anything. And it made me realize, I deserve to ache and pain. I have earned it. And yeah. So remember that too. When you start to hurt, you've earned it, and you will heal.
Are there things that you've done in the past, or do you have certain remedies or
drugs?
Yeah.
Yeah. I am not adverse to taking Advil if you're having a bad day, or whatever, whether you like Tylenol, whatever you like. I'm not adverse to that. If you have a really bad cold, no, cold medication. Yeah. Never leave home without it. But I think exercise, staying fit, and when the worst thing for me now, Brian, is not moving.
Yeah.
The week at the Cincinnati at the summit, oh my goodness, that's hard. Because I'm better off if I have at least one horse or two to shoe a day. Yeah. Keeping moving is important. So I really like trail biking. I love walking my dogs. And I go at a pretty brisk pace and stuff like that. Keep moving.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as people progress in their career, say they get 10 years in, any advice you would offer them differently than those that are starting out?
I think at 10 years in, you're pretty committed.
Yeah.
You should stick it out. You should don't leap now. Don't get out of it now. Because I think I have seen that at 10 years, people, they start to hurt, and I think it scares them.
Yep.
A lot of people start to look for another career. They might start studying real estate, or they start looking. And my advice is, do one thing and do it really well.
Yeah.
So you start looking for another career, this is going to start falling to the wayside. You're going to stop improving. Your attitude is going to change, and your clients are going to sense it, and they're going to know you're on your way out. So I think stick it out. Yeah, you'll heal. You'll get better, stronger. Yeah. Things will calcify. It'll all be good.
What's next on your bucket list?
Oh, right. My bucket list. To cut back.
Is it?
Yes. To start to slow down a little bit.
I feel like that isn't an easy proposition.
It's not. No. And why isn't it? Oh, Brian, it's so hard because what if that really great looking account comes along and you want to take it on, but you're afraid to give up the other accounts to take that one on because what if they turn out to be a dud?
Right. Yep.
Do you do that?
Yep.
Yep.
Exactly.
Absolutely. So then you end up killing yourself for a little while until you might trust this new account or not. You're right. I would like to slow down a little bit more. I would like to be home every night to walk my dogs instead of paying a dog walker at night.
Yeah.
I walk them in the morning. I would like to, that's about it. I want to be home in the evenings to walk my dogs.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's a pretty good goal to have.
And you know what my philosophy too was when I was in my 30s and 40s and early 50s, I thought, okay, that I should try to make as much money as I can while I could physically work really hard.
Right.
Then I guess in that case, I was thinking of my own demise. That wasn't a very good attitude. So I think I would actually like to keep shoeing horses forever and ever. But really, if it just comes down to shoeing one or two a day, eventually, like when I'm really old, when I'm 83.
That's kind of my game plan.
You
as
too?
well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I would have a hard time not.
You know, what would be the most fun, I think, is to shoe without pressure. That, let's say the next day, you've got more horses on your list to do than you know you can physically handle. I would like that to not be a problem.
Yeah.
That you had maybe, Fridays open, you could move some horses off to then. Shoeing without pressure or stress to get to the next stop. Yeah.
Yeah. Wonder if it could be done.
It can. I'm sure it can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This portion of the podcast is called the Stratum Tictorium. These are the short answer, surface stuff questions, but it's okay if the guest wants to go deeper. The Stratum Tictorium is the outermost layer of the hoof wall. The thin layer of cells, also known as the hoof varnish or the stratum externum. Maybe you just learned a new word. I hope you learned some interesting facts about our guest too. Enjoy. So the first question, your favorite book, one that you would most recommend to others?
The Glass Castle by Janet Wells.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. I'm not familiar with that one. I'll have to ask you more about that later.
Okay.
Okay. Your favorite brand of work boots?
Oh, Dakotas.
Yeah?
Yep.
Do you have a specific model? I find they
Oh.
change them on me and then
Really? They changed them?
sometimes, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I can't talk about this anymore then. No. Oh, no. I didn't. No, just Dakotas.
Just
The
Dakotas.
men's Dakotas.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And are they steel toe or
Oh,
composite
yes.
toe? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Your favorite make of rasp?
Ooh, currently, I get into relationships with rasps and then I break up with them. I do
Yep.
that a lot. Actually, my husband doesn't know about my relationship with rasps, so don't tell him.
Maybe we'll edit this.
Currently, it is the XL, Heller XL.
Okay.
The green one?
Yep.
Yep. That's my current love. But one day I may break up with him soon. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, you've had your warning, Excel.
Yeah.
What is your dream farrier rig? And maybe it's
Ooh,
already
I own it.
sitting. Yeah. And what is it, just for the audience?
Oh, I'm driving in a Ford F-250 four-wheel drive truck, and my farrier rig, the trailer, is a 4-star trailer with a bay horse interior.
And you can't miss it when it's going down the highway.
No.
Your favorite rounding hammer?
Pass.
Really?
No,
Don't you have one that you use all the time?
I do. I don't know what make it is.
Oh, okay. Well,
Gosh.
we'll pass.
Okay.
Your favorite pastime after work?
Walking my dogs. I do I love bicycling, and I love to read. And I love taking care of my house, my home.
Okay.
Oh, and I love hanging out with my husband. I'm sorry, I forgot that. No, truly, Renee really is one of my best friends. Renee is a blast to hang out with, but he's not home when I get home from work.
Oh, okay.
He works nights. So.
Gotcha.
Dang.
Oh, you came in for the save there, though.
I did.
Your favorite brand of keg shoe?
Oh, definitely Kirkhart's.
Okay. The Kirkhart DFs,
DFs,
right?
yeah.
Okay. Leather or synthetic pads?
Leather.
Why?
You know what? They're easier to cut. I can cut them easier with my pad, and then they just grind off beautifully.
They do.
They look really, really nice.
It's my choice, too.
Yeah. Although they smell bad when you
They
grind
do.
them. Oh,
Yeah.
I hate that smell.
Yeah.
Yep.
Favorite type of horse to work on?
That's a good one. Definitely not thoroughbreds. I'm going to have to say warm bloods, although I've met some I don't like. And I've met some thoroughbreds that I absolutely love and adore.
But if you're going to stereotype.
Yeah, if I'm going to stereotype, I'm going to go for the bigger footed, the size 2 or 3 foot. I
Yep.
do like those the best. Those are
yeah.
my favorite sizes. So I'm going to have to go with the warm blood.
Okay.
Yeah.
The ideal number of horses to shoe all around in one day.
1. Oh, in reality? Okay. I
Bet you
would
still can
think-
pay the bills.
Yeah. I would think 5 or 6 is kind of a nice number. You're not too physically dragged. Oh, no, hang on. We did 7 today. 7.
So that number you would consider with help. is
With
kind
one
of
help,
that.
actually. But with if there's Tristan, Arden, and I, yeah.
The dream
then
team?
the dream team, yeah. Then we could definitely probably do 10.
Comfortably.
Yeah.
Okay. Your favorite anvil?
I have a Canadian, and I don't know that they make them anymore, but I love this anvil because it's the farrier's anvil with the long tapered horn and the turning cams. And I love the turning cams, although, somebody's going to call them the cheaters. But let's say I just have to slightly bring that heel in. I don't want to put it back in the forge, and I don't want to put it over the horn. You can just slide it in the turning cams and just knock it in.
And away you go.
Yeah. So I do love my turning cams, my Canadian ample.
Okay. I've seen a few of those around.
Have you?
Yeah. Your favorite breed of dog?
Ooh, boxers and bull mastiffs.
The two that greeted me at the door when I got
Yes.
here and nearly knocked me over. Do you have a favorite inspirational quote?
Yes. Always have the courage to ask the question, even though you might be afraid of the answer.
That's a good one. Do you know where that comes from?
I made it up.
You did?
Not really.
Oh, okay.
No. I know what? I don't
fell for that.
I don't know if I made it up. No, I don't think. I think I read it somewhere, and then it hit home to me one day because I think I was afraid to ask somebody something because I was so afraid of the answer, and I dove right in and asked, and
And it all worked out.
Well, probably not. No, there's times when no, you don't like that answer. No.
But it has to be asked.
Yeah.
No, that's a good one. What brand of accounting software do you use?
I'd
Or-
have to ask my accountant.
So you do just send it to the accountant. Away you go. How about for invoicing? Do you use paper method or do you actually use a program for that?
No, I actually enjoy the physical act of writing. I still handwrite my invoices. And the ones I email off to people, I write them out and I scan them off. So if I hate writing, I'll stop doing it. I'll find a program. But
Okay.
Yeah.
You're not there yet.
Not yet, right? Yeah.
And now how about for schedule keeping? I'm assuming you probably write that down too,
I
right?
do. I still like the written method. I don't like keeping it in my phone or my computer. I'm an idiot with my phone, and I have lost my phone and had it kindly returned to me 4 times since September. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
that might be a record. And it shows how nice people are around.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Yeah.
Your preferred social media platform?
I do really enjoy Facebook still. I know that people are going to, that ages me, of course.
Does it? Well, that ages me too then.
Really? I still like Facebook. I know like kids think Facebook is that's not happening anymore. Because Instagram's supposed to be, so Instagram and Facebook are still my favorites.
Okay. Do you have an injury insurance?
You betcha.
Favorite method of soothing aches and pains?
Ignoring them? Oh, that's not it? Advil? No, that's not it. I actually do not mind taking a painkiller like Advil or Tylenol if something really hurts. I have no problem with that. I don't do it every day, and I only take Advil unless I have to, but I will.
Okay.
Absolutely.
For the audience, you don't actually drink alcohol.
No,
I feel like your
don't.
liver has a head start anyway. So you
Yeah,
could probably take more.
I could probably take
Advil.
more
Yeah.
now. Thank you, Brian. I never thought of it that way.
Your favorite brand of jeans or work jeans?
Wranglers.
Okay.
Yeah.
The most common answer. Favorite genre of music?
Okay. I'm a music moron, just so you know.
Really?
I have 30 songs on my iPhone. That's it. That's all I've got. And currently I just downloaded, that one with Lady Gaga and Bradley
right.
Cooper.
Yep.
If I really like a song, I download it and that's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're not being judged on that. That's good.
It's a good thing.
And you answered this in the podcast, but do you work out?
I don't as much anymore because I have 2 dogs and I have to walk them a lot. I still I stretch every morning, do a lot of stretching. Then I'll do some push-ups and I'll do some sit-ups. But I just do this really quick stuff.
But that sounds like a workout.
It's not that much, though.
Oh, okay.
Like, I used to work out for like 45 minutes to an hour.
Did you?
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you meditate?
No.
Okay. What would you have been if not a farrier?
I was interested in either law or accounting. Or I think I would have found out eventually, though, probably my life would have probably gone more into some kind of counseling.
I could picture that. Instead, I make you do it pro bono.
Absolutely. I like it.
Well, and that's the end of it. Thank you very much. I really appreciate the time you took to do this.
Well, thank you. I'm flattered that you even asked me.
Well, of course. Yeah, like I said before, you were a natural choice for this, and I was really happy that you accept the request to do it. So.
Oh, really? I just really wanted you in my house, Brian. Come on. For the audience that don't know, Brian's really cute.
And very red-faced right now. Gosh. Oh, well, thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Before we finish up, I wanted to say a few words about a special project to me called Foot for Thought. Just over a year ago, my friend Dr. Andrea Dubé approached myself and 4 other farriers, Barney Cummings, Cathy Lesperance, Mark Struthers, and Justin Argent, about starting a project together. She wanted to learn more about what it is we farriers do, and to be able to create a series of clinics where vets and farriers could work and learn together while focusing on specific lamenesses or equine podiatry issues. We all understood the need for a safe space where vets and farriers could let their guards down and feel free to ask questions they wouldn't normally ask in front of clients out of fear of looking bad. The group came up with the name Foot for Thought. We ran our first clinic and had a relatively good turnout. Mostly farriers, but some vets. Then we started a closed Facebook group where vets or farriers could post cases they were working on and seek out the opinions and advice of others. The closed group ensuring, once again, that the discussions were out of the public realm to ensure a safe space. It started to grow. People joined up from all over North America. The next clinic grew too. More vets, more farriers, more discussion. We started broadening our base and having vets and farriers from well outside our area come in to lead the clinics. It has been and continues to be quite the journey. The keenness of everyone who participates is palatable. I'm proud to be part of such a great collaborative group that is doing so much to help equine professionals help out the horses in their care. If you are a vet, farrier, chiropractor, or equine massage therapist, please send a member request to the Foot for Thought Facebook page. Or you can message me directly and I'll get you on the email list for upcoming events and special announcements. And that concludes this episode of the podcast. Until we meet again, take care of yourselves and each other out there. Thank you very much for listening.